Good morning. My name is Jacob Folger. I'm an artist and sculptor, and today we are going to make little pebble stone fairy houses in miniature. These are very small, as you can see, and we're going to be working on this stone here. And normally I would work in a lighter color stone because the contrast would be better. But I don't have a lighter colored stone right now, so I'm going to have to use this. Before we start, we're going to have to seal the stone so that it's not so porous, and so the clay will stick to it better. And there's several ways to do that. One is with like a spray product like this. This is matte clear. The nice thing about this is it dries very quickly. You can use polyurethane, you can use varnish, you can use spray polyurethane. This is a product I use all the time, Golden GAC 100. But if you have trouble getting this, you can use anything basically that is going to just seal its stone. Okay, and so that the stone will stand up, I make something called the kickstand. And there's two ways of doing that. One is the way I just did it here, which is just a little bit of clay there on the back to hold it up. Another way is to create maybe a little foundation for the stone to sit on. And so you could roll a ball and then a noodle like that, flatten it out, and have it stand on it like that. I prefer the kickstand idea. So what I do for that is I roll a little ball. I'm going to decide where I want to put it. I think I'm going to do the orientation of the stone like that. I put it on the back of the stone, you can see, and then just sort of press it in and so that it sticks good. And now the stone can stand up okay. I'm going to drop this down a little bit here. And the other thing is you can use wire, cut a small piece and insert it, and I'll show you. Just cut a little piece of wire like that, and put it into the to the kickstand like that, and then it is now pinned so that the fairy house can stand up in the garden. You also can put the pin into the clay and move it around like this, and then take it out. And when you bake the house, you can have the pin as an option as opposed to just being stuck in there permanently. So just keep that in mind. Okay. The next step is to start creating the frames for the doors and the window and that sort of thing. So what we're going to need is a noodle of clay. And I suggest rolling it on the table like I'm doing here. And the reason why is because it just makes it a lot more even. You see, I'm sliding my hand as I roll. I'm applying very gentle pressure. If I press really hard, it will become flat and it won't roll very well. And so we need it to be, fairly small, really. So if you have you want to keep that uniform, and if you have a part that is thicker than the rest, you can concentrate on that for a moment. And if the noodle is so long that it's you know, problematic being so long, you can also you know, cut it in half. And so this here is pretty good to about where I want it. Just get it a little bit down to this end here. We probably won't need this much because it's just a tiny little thing that we're doing. There we go. Okay. Now you can draw a template in. You could use, I don't know if a pen would work on this, but let's just see. Yeah, you can use a pen to draw in where you want the door to go. You could use a Sharpie, you know, a magic marker or something like that. And that, you know, just give you a guide if you need it. Next, I'm going to make things easier for myself. I'm just going to cut off a piece that I think will be long enough for the door frame. And so I'm just going to take an X-Acto knife. I do recommend an X-Acto knife or a very sharp knife just to make things easier for you. And there's going to be a complete tool and supply list on the video description below the video. So just watch for that. And so I'm just going to cut off a piece here. That'll just make it a little bit more manageable. And then I'm going to place it on the stone. And as I place it on, I'm going to kind of press it into place a little bit, like this, just gently. And then once you've got it all the way around it, you can press it a little harder, but I wouldn't squish it. I wouldn't squish it. And then just cut it off. And then you can take a little bit of clay and make a little step. It's also called a threshold. So that's where we are now. And then you want to take a little tiny bit of clay like this and put it inside the door frame. Oh wow, that did really good. Okay, and so another tool, now I usually use other tools and I hardly ever use these ball tools, but for something this small, these are really pretty good. And these I will also go on the tool and supply list, and I bought mine on eBay, and they were like I got 3 sizes. I got the big, the very tiny, and the medium, and they also have like a little tool on the other end, and I got those on eBay. So and it was like, I think it was $8. Now I'm taking this tool and I'm just pressing in and smoothing it, and this actually is for the door. This is going to be the door. So we're going to carve it a little bit, and it'd be good to have a door there. I like to leave the door a little bit rough because, you know, when I visualize when I put the markings in the door, I like it to look like old wood, and so that's why I don't mind it being rough like that. But if you use you know, the medium-sized ball, you can probably get it smoother. See, it's getting a lot smoother. Okay. And now I like to make the door look like it's wood planks. So I'm going to take one of my wood sculpting tools here and just carve in lines to make it look like wood planks, like that. And then I would take a very small piece of clay, really small, like this. Lay back the stone like this and drop it on there, and this is going to be the doorknob, and so I'll move it into place where I want it and just press it so that it stays there. Now I'm going to make the window, and the way I do this is I take a little bit of clay. I want it to be smaller than this other noodle that we got here. So I'm going to roll it between my fingers here and make it smaller. And then I'm going to take a paintbrush. Actually, I think maybe a little bit bigger. When I use paintbrushes, I use both ends all the time. It's a great tool. And I'm going to put the noodle of clay around the paintbrush, and that's my, basically holds it. It's like a, for lack of a better term, a jig that will keep the shape that I want for the window. And then I'll cut off the excess. And form it, the noodle around, and you know, seal the seam there. Okay, now I'm going to take this basically a window now, and I'm going to roll it or slide it to the end of the brush. I don't want to take it off, I just want to get it up there to the end, like that. And then I'll put the brush end to the stone and just pull the brush out, leaving the window there. Now you might have other ways that you want to do it, of course. I would hope that you'll come up with ideas that that work better for you, but this is how I have made them. I like kind of like it this way. And then just press it gently. Again, you don't want to squish it, because that, when you squish it, it becomes bigger. You can also take the paintbrush and just turn it around in there to form it and make it look better. Next, we're going to create a roof, and we don't really need this noodle anymore, so I'm going to We really rolled way too much. It wasn't necessary to roll all that much. I'm going to start off with a ball and then roll it into a noodle. And this is going to be for the roof. And I want it to be long enough to go. I just rolled it a little bit more there off camera. And then I just bring it down, set it on top of there like that. If I take my fingers like this, I can create, a sharper top for it. That's how it looks on that side. I just think these are so cute and unusual too. Then you can take a tool like this perhaps and just put in a definition so it's like two boards coming together. And then it's time for the chimney, and you can take a bit of clay and it depends on how big you want it. Make it. I make it this big, so I'm going to roll it, and then you can leave it round like that, or you can take your fingers like this and squeeze, and it makes it square. See? And then you can take a small paintbrush like this. I might as well make it as realistic as possible and put a hole in the top like that, and then just put it where you want it, press it into place, and I like to curve them off a little bit so they look a little bit whimsical since it is a fairy house. Like that. And then you can go back and just smooth things out with, you can use your fingers. Patting sometimes like this will make it smoother. You can use tools to do it. You can use your ball tool. Let's see, this one was pretty good to smooth it. And you also can use water. You can use warm soapy water, or you can use alcohol and just brush it. But if you're using water, don't get it soaking wet. Just take you take a brush like this, dip it in the water. It's got water now on it, and then you can dab it off like this on the table, on a paper towel, or what have you, so it's not just soaking wet. And then you can brush it to smooth it out. Now we're going to talk about finishing. You've seen I'm using black clay. The reason why I use black clay is because the finishes that I do look really good on black clay. I'm using Pearl X Pigments, and it comes in a number of colors. I use this is Reflex Violet. I'll put that in the video description, and the other colors I'm using. This is silver, and this is a duo red blue, meaning that it's effervescent, so it changes colors depending on how the light is hitting it. And And this I use a lot. This is antique bronze with a touch of golden mixed in, and it's really a pretty color. Since the stone's a little bit lighter, I'm going to use I'm going to try to do some stuff with the silver, and I'm going to use a little bit of purple, or violet. This is actually violet. I'm just going to take a small paintbrush like this. Just get a tiny bit on my brush and then put it into the lid. And I'm going to do the door with that. See? And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some pewter. And the best way to do this is put it on the brush and then put it into the lid to work with. And I'm going to put on the doorknob. You want to dab it off so that it's not, coming off like a lot, dusting off like that. Dab it. It's a nice color. I think I definitely prefer the bronze, but and we're putting this on before we bake it because it's we want it to be kind of embedded into the clay, and then the finish lasts a lot longer. And get the whole roof here. Handle it very gently because you don't want to squish your work. It's still soft. And then I think I actually you can wipe it off. You can wipe it off on a cloth. I have a cloth in my lap. And then I'm going to use the bronze on the chimney just to have a little color there. There we go. And you can also put the finish on your kickstand as well. And that is how you make a fairy house. Now, as far as baking goes, you're supposed to bake it for 275 degrees, Sculpey 3. We're using Sculpey 3. You're supposed to bake it for 15 minutes per quarter inch of mass of clay, but this is so small. If it were me, I would bake this for about 20 minutes. Of course, your house may be different, but just to give you an idea, I think if you bake it for 20 minutes, it's probably just fine. And I'll put instructions again in the video description for baking Sculpey 3. If you're using a different brand of clay, then of course it may be different, so you might want to check the packaging so you bake at the right temperature and everything. And then remember what I told you about the pin. So you definitely want to give the option of pinning it. Somebody might want to put this in their potted plant or something like that. So if that was the case, then obviously you want it to be able to stand up okay in there. That's basically it. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of videos along these lines. And please rate the video. It does matter. It's important. Please rate the video. Comment if you like. If you have any questions, you can put it in the comment section. I'll get back to you. I answer most comments. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.